So budgeting is actually one of the biggest questions we get. Is no one ever really knows, especially early on when they're doing this, what to actually budget for their ads. There's not really any hard or fast rules of what to spend. There are a few things like that we use. Like a rough rule of thumb we use is when we're looking at our audience, once it's down to what we want. If it's a long-term campaign, $10 a day per 100,000 people. We'll often do that, but sometimes you want to go lower. Like the biggest thing I would say is like $5 a day is the lowest I would generally go for like a cold audience campaign. But we've seen a lot of ads that by simply upping the budget from $5 to $10, the ad started working. So we normally would like to say $10 a day, kind of at the low end, regardless, at least in the beginning, just to get enough people to see it. But yeah, that $10 a day per 100,000 people is a pretty good rule of thumb to follow. But if you're at, say, 200,000 people and you only want to spend $10 a day instead of the $20 a day, that's fine. It still works. So don't worry about it too much. But that rule of thumb of $10 a day per 100,000 is a pretty good one to follow. So again, don't worry about it too much. I'm more looking like what can you afford. A good benchmark that we like for a listing, $50 for a week, and then base it on the results. Like if you're spend $50 2 days in, you spent 10, $15, and you're getting 50-cent leads, double your budget. If you're getting $6, $7 leads, turn it off. But knowing your metrics for the different types of campaigns is important because then they can give you a pretty good idea of what to do. So look at it that way. Spend what you can afford, but for listings, like $50 is a great place to start and see the results because they're so consistent. And then you can change and like double down on a well-performing ad or pull back on a poor-performing one. One that I like to make sure everyone understands, because I have seen people make this mistake. We worked with a client one time who brought us in to fix a campaign that wasn't working, and he set the budget to $1,700 for a month. And like 3 days in, he realized this ad is a dud, and he's like, it's a shame I wasted the $1,700. So can you try and do something to save it so I don't waste that money? So I just turned off the ad. He didn't realize that even though you set a budget and an end date, that you could turn it off early. He thought now he was just sunk with that $1,700. So, I mean, it was a really quick win for him that he just didn't have to spend that anymore. But you can turn an ad off at any point. Like it could spend 2 cents and you'd be like, I don't actually want to keep going with this ad. Great. They're only going to charge you the 2 cents. It's not a big deal. So now let's get into the actual like specifics here. So the two main options are a daily budget or a lifetime budget. Daily is exactly what it sounds like. You're saying, hey, Facebook, you have up to $20 a day to spend. So they'll spend up to 20. In rare circumstances, will they not spend that full 20? If you tell them 20, they're going to spend 20. If your audience is super small, like when I target at a conference that I'm speaking at, and I set a budget for like $20 a day, usually most real estate conferences are like between 100 and 1,000 people. There's just not enough people in the audience to like spend the full 20, for example. So in those cases, not a big deal. So daily budget, if it's the goal of the ad is to run long term, we normally just set daily budget and we don't actually even set an end date, and we just pay attention. If you're nervous that you might forget to turn it off, then in that case, yeah, absolutely set an end date, and then you can just go and extend that in the future. But daily budget works. They'll spend up to that amount. If you set an end date on a daily budget, then it's really the same as a lifetime budget. The biggest difference between daily and lifetime, if there's an end date, is that say you set a daily budget of $10 a day for 10 days, or you do a lifetime budget of $100 for 10 days. Maybe on a lifetime budget, one day they spend 11, one day they spend 9, whereas on a daily budget, they cap at 10, and the next day they would cap at 10. So it gives them a little bit extra flexibility. So if it is one where there's an end date, I normally prefer to do a lifetime budget just to give Facebook that little extra flexibility that if one day they think they can get me a better result, they might spend a little bit extra, but they're still roughly just going to kind of spread it out over that time frame that you give them. The only other difference is with a lifetime budget ad is it gives you ad scheduling options. You don't get ad scheduling options when you run it as a daily budget. What this means is I can come in here and say, okay, I want my ad to run Mondays from 9 until 5 or 6, Tuesdays similar, Wednesdays, I normally take the Wednesday afternoons off, done. And maybe here we're going to actually run these out till 9 because I'm fine with leads coming in, 9 to 9 type of thing. Again, most of the time we run our ads 24/7, but there are some cases where, like especially if you have a very manual follow-up system and you just want to make sure that you're available to call them when the lead comes in, you could set it up between specific hours. So you're like, hey, I play hockey every Wednesday, so I'm going to stop my ads at 6. Then I normally go out, so I'm normally Friday getting a late start, so maybe I don't want to start the ads a little later that day, and then I want to make sure nothing's running on the weekends, or maybe I only want the weekend mornings to promote my open houses that are going on that day. You can start playing around with how your ads, for the most part, this would be more for like, if you're Pizza Hut, you don't want an ad running for someone to order a pizza when you're closed. So you just run this during like your operating hours, and then you could like change the messaging from like, hey, run it in the mornings to convince people to order lunch, run it in the late afternoon, evenings to get people to order dinner or a late night snack. Like you can change the messaging based on that in those instances. For real estate, for the most part, we just let them run 24/7. We haven't really found a huge change in conversion rates or anything like that for the majority of people by adding that. So for the most part, we leave that off. But if you do ever want to test that out, you're welcome to. It's right there. If you have any questions about budgeting or scheduling, put them in the group. But again, budget, there's no hard and fast rules. Rough rule of thumb, $10 a day per 100,000. Otherwise, put what you can afford, test it, see what the results are. If you're happy with the results, keep it there or increase the budget or decrease. The only thing I'll say is if you're going to increase a budget, we recommend never more than 20% of the budget every other day. So if your ad is $10 a day right now and it's going well, add $2 a day. Then wait a bit, add another 20%, then another 20%. Because if you say like double it from 10 to 20 to 40, it kind of screws up the algorithm sometimes from what we found. So that 20% a day or every other day on top of the budget to increase it seems to be that right number. So if you have any questions, go in the group. Otherwise, head on to the next video where we're going to be talking a little bit more about just like an intro to custom audiences versus saved audiences, which we will cover though more in the other course where we go into advanced Facebook ads.